Hello, everyone, and happy Halloween from your friends at Line Change, the NHL betting podcast from the Action Network. My name is Michael Leboff. I'm taking a deep, deep breath here because Nick and I almost came to blows over Kyle Dubas. So he's with me is Tim Kalinowski. We're going to look ahead at this beautiful 2-game slate on Tuesday night. Thank you to the NHL for fixing it up like this. 2 games on Tuesday, a couple games on Wednesday, and then we're back to the Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday cycle. I guess the NHL was a little afraid of going up against All Hallows Eve on Tuesday night. Can't put too many games on Halloween, but
Ooh,
yeah, that's spooky. The 2 that we have are actually pretty decent, and we have some bets that we like in both of them, Nick. So we'll start with the Kings and the Leafs, and we'll start with you. The Kings are plus 130 on the road. The Leafs return home as a minus 155 favorite. The total is 6.5. What are you thinking here?
I like the Kings in some fashion, and maybe the Kings with the over. I just think right now, if you're going to beat Toronto, especially LA, they're not getting great goaltending. I actually think it correlates fairly well with the over, which might kind of go against what some people think about this game, but it's just so hard to shut down the Leafs power play and those top talents. But I think we're getting a decent number on the Kings to kind of, try and catch Wall regressing a little bit. I do think Toronto's clearly found it defensively. That started to show, but they're not going to be dominant on that front. The Kings are deep. They can win some of those bottom matchups. They can expose what's now a weaker bottom 6. So I just think at this long of a number, it's a good spot to get on the Kings in some fashion. If you can get plus 140, I think that's a great play on the money line. And if you want to pair it with the over, like I said, I think that actually correlates fairly well because it's something to do with just the Kings exposing Toronto's defense and their top stars. And I'll also be watching goal scorers, I think potentially Kaliev and Byfield. Those are the 2 where I'm looking to see what long numbers we can get tomorrow. And yeah, like Wool's just been so solid, but we see this all the time with goaltenders where it's just like, has he proven himself this much? Like he might be solid, but is he
who he reminds me of?
Sammy last year?
No,
okay.
Jack Campbell.
Well,
that December run, like those first couple months with them when he was posting insane numbers, his first full season. Then December came around and
fell apart.
Yeah, because
he
had
and
turns out the guy who never played a full NHL season. It's pretty strenuous stuff.
Turned into a pumpkin.
Happy Halloween.
And then the other thing is, like I said, do I trust Talbot and the Kings winning a game like 2-1 here? That seems kind of far-fetched as well. So I think that's kind of a fun way to play that on a smaller slate.
Yeah, I think you're on the right path here in terms of finding a good bet. I like the Kings on the money line as well. I think like 5-on-5, we just expect this team to, I think, stabilize and be really good over the course of an 82-game season. The Leafs, the Wall numbers are awesome. Like I think some models have him as the leading, like the pace setter and goals saved above expected. But what does that tell you? The defense.
I mean, they're defending pretty well now, though.
Yeah,
to me, it's just the Kings are good. I think if I wanted to summarize this, I'd just say like I've always thought the Kings are good. This core, I still think they're really good. And it's
they are, and it looks the Leafs are a little banged up too on the back end, like Liljegren, McCabe, Tim. Are you going to make it 3 for 3 here on LA?
I was about to say, too, they are banged up on the back end, Toronto. I guess I'm convinced from you guys, the Kings are a good team and they, shouldn't be this big of a dog is kind of the bet. What does interest me is this total, Nick, in that you were pretty adamant on the over. The Kings have been 7-1 to the over this season, while the Leafs just 3 overs, 5 unders. How would you ever believe that? The Toronto Maple Leafs, it's just about really can both teams get goaltending because each team shoots the puck an awful lot. Can they get goaltending? This is why it is indeed a gamble. I'm not quite sure. Talbot has been better, but he was off to a tough start. That's who I think is expected for the Kings. If it gets to 7, I might go under, but I'm not, you made a good argument. I don't like to go against you. It's just that these numbers, you're going to have to get goaltending at one point here. It's just shaky.
And they're both pretty good defensive teams too, which is definitely, I mean, when you're talking 6.5 with teams like that, I can see how it's scary. The Leafs, looking at it though, like Caps, Stars, Preds, last three, and games that could have maybe been a little higher scoring. So their trend doesn't scare me as much.
And like you
But
said,
yeah, I guess
those were probably their best three defensive showings.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
on
I
the
think a lot
season.
of teams are going to have good defensive showings against the Caps and the Preds. So
Yeah.
definitely a little easier than versus the Kings.
Okay, the other game on Tuesday night is in Vancouver. The Predators are visiting Van City as a plus 114 underdog, and it's a total at 5.5 with some juice on the over. I think that this one sets up really well for a three-way regulation draw, the 60-minute draw. Will the game go to overtime? Yes, prop. We know what the Predators want to do. We know the kind of rock fights they like to play in. The goaltending matchup should be solid. It just screams low event. Neither team has been driving play all that well, despite respectable starts relative to what we expected out of them. So it's really hard. What we say all the time when we bet these overtime props is it's just hard to see one or the other just routing this game, Nick.
Yeah, I think this is a great time to play it. I like the total. If you can get 6, hopefully there's a few that hang around overnight. That's a really strong bet, I think. Like there's going to be so many 3-2 or 4-2 at the empty net getting it there. So I fully agree. I think the Canucks, like these are two teams when you look at it that are still going to, like their MO is going to be winning lower scoring games, right? Even if the Canucks personnel isn't entirely suited for that, I still think that's the way Talkett wants them to play. That's where they're trying to improve the most. They've got a great goaltender, and then they're facing a team that, like on the road, you look at the way the Preds are going to want to play versus a team that's started really well. It's just a great underspot, and I think it is going to move quite a bit. So hopefully some of the good numbers are there. And yeah, just like you say, like I think great tie bet too, because should be close, should be sticky. Like seeing it be like 1-1 or 2-2 for a really long period of time wouldn't surprise me at all. So I think those are definitely the smart angles here.
Yeah.
Tip?
I would say, teaching the people how to fish here. If, use the action app. And when you see a number like this come out at 6, a lot of betting the NHL is getting good numbers. So when you see this thing, tracking on the action app start to tick towards that under, as we think, this will be around 5.5 all day on Tuesday. You see that steam coming in on 6. That's kind of a good sign if you're looking to bet that under and grab that 6, because obviously half goals, it's key difference between 5.5 and 6. So we were able to grab that 6, but I don't want to be the person that says we grabbed it. Now everyone else, kick rocks. So how about this? Surprising. The LA Kings are the number one goal scoring team in the league so far this year. And it's because of their shooting percentage, which is 13.7. They rank, in all those luck box graphics that you see, Vancouver is like astronomically lucky per se. They've been scoring goals. They've been getting shots to go in. On the other hand, when you talk about low variance game, the game Nashville wants to play, I try and read these graphs. I'm not the smartest person in the world, but Nashville's like dead in the middle. They're like the lowest variance team in the entire league. So we're hoping with the way of under and overtime, we get the low variance version of this with Vancouver kind of coming back down to earth a little bit. Is my head in the right place?
I think so. Yeah.
I think that makes a lot of sense.
Probably see a lot of people kind of thinking smash spot of Vancouver, just like looking at the records and kind of the reputations around the team. But given the way it's going to play, I don't think there's much value in taking them on.
If the Nashville number like drifts again, because it was around 120s, they would be the side I'd rather be on. But like I said, I like that overtime bet better. Before we go, I will leave you with the stat I'm stealing from Boomer Gordon of the Sirius XM NHL radio. Frankie Vetrano scored his 9th goal of the season tonight. That ties him with the San Jose Sharks. So on that note, for Nick Martin and Tim Kalinowski, I'm Michael Leboff. Good luck with all your bets on Halloween.